Welcome, Slayer the Alchemist, where we discuss all things heavy metal and hard rock. On today's episode, gatekeeping in the heavy metal scene. Is it a problem? What is it? What should we do about it? I just made a video, 5 things I don't like about heavy metal, and a lot of people left a lot of good comments, agreeing with me or agreeing with certain points, disagreeing with others. And I got some people that weren't so kind, left some nasty comments. But one thing that came up a lot in the comments that people said they don't like about heavy metal is gatekeeping. So let's define what gatekeeping is. I asked ChatGPT, what is gatekeeping in the heavy metal scene? And I've got to be honest, it gave a pretty good answer. So here's what ChatGPT said. Gatekeeping in the heavy metal scene refers to behavior where individuals or groups try to control who gets to be considered a, quote, real fan or part of the community. This often involves setting rigid, exclusionary standards for what qualifies as authentic metal taste, behavior, or appearance. Now, I get why this happens. A lot of this is age-related. You grew up with something a certain way, and when it changes, it's the old man yelling at clouds thing. It's those kids out there and their music and stuff. And so that's where I think sometimes gatekeeping comes into play. So I came up with 7 different things that I think you see with gatekeeping, gatekeepers, the keepers of the gates. And these are things that I think we should fix and not have in the scene, because I don't think that they are beneficial to the scene. All right, so number 1 that I see amongst gatekeepers is dissing or putting down fans for not liking their definition of true metal. Now, I was already kind of saying this. People tend to, whatever they grew up on, that is this is what metal is. All this other stuff is just noise or it's ridiculous. The problem with that is that, especially now, this isn't 1980 anymore, where heavy metal is a pretty, there wasn't a whole lot of variation in the sound in 1980. With any genre of music, as time goes on, things branch out. You get branches off the branches, and you get subgenres of subgenres, and it just spreads out. And sometimes it is hard to see how some subgenre has anything to do with where metal actually started. But this is natural. Again, it happens in jazz and classical, and it's something that that should be respected and something that should be encouraged. We want heavy metal to grow, to expand, to try different things, to go to different places. We don't have to like all of that, but we can respect that this music has many different sides to it, many different shades of it. And usually, if you're just really tracing, it may take a couple steps, but it will eventually come back to Black Sabbath or Judas Priest or Iron Maiden. So it doesn't do anybody any favors by getting angry that there's, or trying to guard what you believe to be true metal. All right, number 2, I said putting down music that is outside the traditional boundaries of metal. Example, rap metal, or bands like Sleep Token and Ghost, right? This is a constant debate. I've done a few Ghost videos, and I always get comments, they're not metal. I've never done a Sleep Token video, but I'm sure that if I did, and I plan on doing a Sleep Token video at some point, that people will say that this isn't heavy metal. And I get it. Again, going back to point number 1, it's really pushing it, moving it out pretty far, getting far away from what is sort of the core definition of where heavy metal started. But again, we want heavy metal to grow and expand. And if someone becomes a Ghost fan and it leads them, that is their doorway to heavy metal, and it leads them to Deep Purple or Blue Oyster Cult or Merciful Fate, right? It's all a good thing in the end. All right, number 3, looking down on people new to the scene. Sometimes I see this when I'm out in public. I've seen it every now and then in the comments. Somebody says something that they're clearly new to the scene or don't know much about heavy metal, and everybody gets all worked up. I've seen this happen in public. Somebody says something and everybody, Bruce Dickinson wasn't the original singer of Iron Maiden. Paul Di'Anno was. How could you not know that? And they get all upset that this person doesn't know about Paul Di'Anno, or this person doesn't know that Glenn Hughes was in Deep Purple at one time. I mean, the thing is that we all started somewhere, and instead of belittling these people, putting these people down, we should be educating them. And I feel like on my channel, part of the thing that I view on my channel is like an educational aspect to this. And I make certain videos that I gear towards people who may not really know about heavy metal. And I want this to be here, this channel and some of these videos, so that somebody who maybe is curious type something in and they come across this and they learn something from it. I've told this story before. The first time I heard Metallica was on local college radio. It was when their first album came out, and the DJs were saying Metalicia. They weren't pronouncing Metallica correctly. And I was walking around saying to kids at my school, yeah, you got to check out this band Metalicia. And eventually somebody said to me, do you mean Metallica? And I think the DJs eventually figured it out themselves too. So we all start somewhere. We all have to learn. Instead of looking down on somebody, even if they're an older person just getting into the scene, we should be encouraging them, educate them, share what you know with them so they can learn too. Okay. Number 4, looking down at people at shows who look like first timers or just curious bystanders. I've seen this where we're at a show, there's some people in the corner that don't look like they belong there. They're maybe dressed not at all like heavy metal. And people start, what's up with them? Why are they here? They shouldn't be here. Again, it's sort of this, sometimes metal has this closed off, like guarded vibe to it. But the thing is, and you can ask any local metal band in your scene, there's not enough people to turn anybody away. And if these people paid $10 to get into your local metal show, good on them. Even if they know nothing about heavy metal and the only reason why they're there is they didn't have anything else to do and they just walked in out of morbid curiosity. Maybe they accidentally showed up there. But maybe they're also just genuinely curious about the scene. I've talked about how I'm into dark wave music and the goth scene to a certain degree. And within the goth scene, there's a lot of gatekeeping, especially online. I haven't really experienced it from the people that I meet at the clubs and stuff like that. But online, there is just a lot of gatekeeping. And but I've even seen this in the goth clubs where people will say, we should start having a dress code so there aren't people in here that are just walking in off the street. But the problem is that, that person may be there because they're curious and maybe they will turn into a fan. It was like me. The first time I went into the local goth club here in Tampa, I didn't know what it was. I just kind of saw it. I saw some people outside and I walked in. I mean, I was coming out of a metal show, so I had a metal band shirt on, but I didn't look goth, but I went in, I liked it, I kept coming back, I started dressing more like that scene. So again, it goes back to the looking down on people new to the scene. Everybody starts somewhere, everybody goes to their first show. If anything, if you see somebody who doesn't look like they belong at the show, maybe walk up to them and say, hey, are you enjoying the show? That type of thing. Welcome them in. We need more people in the scene. It's not a situation where we can turn anybody away, especially on a local metal level. All right, number 5, people who don't dress or look the part or look like they are appropriating the metal look. Okay, now what I mean by that last part is, and I know this does get to me a little bit too, I get this. You see Kim Kardashian wearing a Slayer shirt. You see some like actor or actress wearing a metal shirt, and you're just like, this person doesn't like heavy metal. They're just wearing it because it looks edgy or they think they look cool. I don't really care about those things, and I sort of look at it like if some fan of this person sees them in this shirt, maybe they'll be curious and type in Slayer into a search engine or something like that, and they'll discover the music like that. All right, to the first part, people who don't dress or look the part. This sort of goes back to that number 4, where somebody who doesn't look like they belong there at the club. And to me, it's just silly. I really don't think, again, somebody is, maybe it's their first time, maybe they're curious. It's the same thing I mentioned with the goth clubs. You know, I didn't dress goth the first time, a couple times I went to the club. I mean, I started dressing more like that as I went and as I started to learn about it and understand it. So to me, it's just silly to exclude somebody from just because of the way they look. And this is something that, again, with the goth community, especially I see this online, like in Reddit and the goth subreddit, where people, oh, you know, do I look goth enough? I mean, who cares, right? If you like the music, go to the club, dance, enjoy yourself, go see a band. Who cares? You know, I've said this, if I've had short hair in my life, I've had to wear suits to jobs, I'm still a heavy metal fan. I'm still metal, right? My hair and the way I dress doesn't really have anything to do with how much I like heavy metal or enjoy heavy metal. All right, number 6, ageism/sexism. All right, so what I mean by this is the get off my lawn, you kids these days, you don't understand, you weren't there, I saw band X in 1980 X, you don't get it, type of thing, you had to be there, type of thing. Again, everybody has to start somewhere. And I'm sure in 1980, when I was walking around, or 82, and talking to people older than me, maybe they looked at me and were like, oh man, I saw Zeppelin in 76. You don't know what you're talking about, you know? I mean, but again, everybody, you have to start somewhere. So looking down on people, because, and it could be the reverse too, like you're too old for this, grandpa, what are you doing here? You know, type of thing. Dad rock, you know, you shouldn't be listening to this type of stuff. You know, there's we're not really in a position to exclude anybody from the scene, young or old. You know, we got to encourage everybody. It puts a smile on my face when I'm out somewhere and I see some young kid in a AC/DC hat or a Black Sabbath t-shirt or something like that. I mean, I just think that that's a great thing, because it shows that there's another generation of kids that are discovering this music. All right, sexism. What I mean with that, with gatekeepers, is oh, you're a girl, you can't understand what this is. I should have my wife come in and chime in on this subject, because she gets this sometimes when she's out with me. We're out at a show, somebody comes and they're talking, and maybe they know me, they don't know her, or somebody just striking up a conversation, and they look at her and they go, oh, he dragged you here. Oh, you must be having fun. Oh, I guess you had to tag along. I guess he made you tag along, or something like that. And she gets mad, because my wife is, she's way more into extreme metal and black metal and death metal. That's like her thing. And she goes to a ton of shows. She's very knowledgeable. So she gets upset when somebody sees her and just thinks, oh, you're a girl. The only reason why you're here is because your boyfriend dragged you here. You had to go because of your boyfriend. So we don't need any of that. The ladies, they're just as knowledgeable and just as much into the music as we are. All right, my last point, number 7, is elitism. And I sort of referenced this in this last one. The whole, I saw band X in 1980 X. I've seen band X number of times, or I own all their albums on first pressing vinyl, or this, that, or another thing. And it's just annoying, and it needs, there's no need for it. Again, this ties into a lot of other things too, like about educating people. But I see this sometimes where, like, I was at a show and there was this, I forget how I started a conversation with this guy. He was wearing an Iron Maiden shirt. I don't think it was a metal show. I think it was like a dark wave show or something. And I saw this guy in an Iron Maiden shirt, and I was like, oh, hey, you know, you Iron Maiden fan? And he was like, yeah. And he's a little kind of defensive. And I said, yeah, I like Iron Maiden too. And he goes, I said, yeah, I'm a big Iron Maiden fan. And he's like, well, how many times have you seen him live? And I was like, I don't know. I've seen him like maybe 10 or 12 times. I've seen him 28 times. And I've got, and he started rambling off his resume, his credentials of why he was, a big Iron Maiden fan. And early on in my channel, I was a guest on somebody else's channel where there was like 4 or 5 people, and the topic was Iron Maiden. And there was just somebody in the group that this guy, man, everything that I said, he just came back with, well, I saw them on that tour 7 times, and he just had to justify everything with, I have the Brazilian pressing of the record. I think I know what I'm talking about. There was just like no having a conversation with it. I just could not live up to this guy's standards when it came to Iron Maiden. And there's just no point in doing that. It's just, it's off-putting. It just pushes people away. And why do we want to do that? We love heavy metal. And if I were to sum this all up, the whole gatekeeping thing, look, we're all metal fans here, right? We love heavy metal. We shouldn't be pushing anybody away. We shouldn't be excluding anybody. And I know what people are going to say, like, oh, we have to protect heavy metal. No, we don't. Iron Maiden is going to be fine. Black Sabbath is going to be fine. Their reputations are intact. Sleep Token is not going to cause Black Sabbath to... Nobody listens to Black Sabbath anymore because of Sleep Token. No, that's not going to happen. These bands are here. They're safe. Their legacy is here. Just because somebody's doing something different or something that we don't like, or they're dressing a way we don't like, or they're doing something that doesn't fit into the traditional mold, it's not a threat to what we already have or what we like or what we enjoy. We should be encouraging people. We should be encouraging different branches of the heavy metal tree. The whole gatekeeping thing, it just doesn't do the scene any good. It doesn't do your local scene any good. It doesn't do the overall metal scene any good. And honestly, it's a turnoff. Like, again, I've seen this in the goth scene where at times I get turned off by talking to some of these people. I've reached out to some people to try to have them on my channel, and they're like, I've gotten comments like, you're not goth, I only speak to goths, and that type of thing. It's like, what? That's ridiculous. Like, if somebody contacted me and said, hey, I've got a country channel, and some of my fans have been, I have a music channel and I talk about pop music. I was wondering if you could come on and talk about heavy metal. I'd be like, yeah, absolutely. I'd love to come on and tell people the history of heavy metal and stuff. I'd love to share music and to share heavy metal. I'm not about shutting anybody out or needing to see somebody's credentials before I have a conversation with them about the music that I love. So, all right, there you go. Gatekeeping in the metal scene. I don't know. How much of this stuff do you see in your daily life as a metalhead? How much of it do you see in your local scene? Is it really a problem? Has it gotten better over time? Has it gotten worse over time? Are there some things as far as gatekeeping that irritate you that I didn't bring up on this list? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. Till we see you again, make sure you stay heavy, stay metal.